Hello, welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host Owen James, channel that brings you all your latest Rangers news, guys, on what is match day. Obviously, it is Kilmarnock away. It's Barry Ferguson's first game as Rangers manager, and I'm intrigued to see exactly what Big Barry will bring to the game tonight. What the change will be and how long it will take for the first Rangers fan on the watch along tonight or on Twitter or on social media to go, oh, I wonder if Barry can get his boots on and get on that park. And Neil McCann too. I can't wait for that. The first time that comment. I'm going to go for about 10 minutes into the game. That first comment will come. But look, we've got us news of what Barry Ferguson said at his first media availability today. Also news as well about the takeover. Obviously, that is the sort of top news that is kind of on the forefront of everyone's mind, isn't it? You know, what is happening with the takeover? What is the situation with the takeover? How's it going? You know, what's going on with it, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, obviously. So we're going to start with that because obviously that's the big thing, isn't it? So this has been reported by 49ers and NFL News 24/7. Look, the NFL in America is massive business, and the news out there about the NFL is 24/7. It's rolling news. It keeps on coming. It never ever stops. This is what has been reported out in America. It says, breaking, the majority takeover of Rangers involving the 49ers investment wing is expected to be completed by June 2025. There is general agreement between the two parties. The 49ers investment wing would own more than 50% of the Rangers shares while also taking on the company's debt. So it appears that the takeover is moving forward apace, that it will be completed by June, that all will be in place for June. So that will give the Niners Enterprises time to obviously look at and help to appoint a new manager in the run-up to that situation. So I think that's good news. It's kind of, you know, I know what everyone's worry was. Everyone's fear, everyone's worry was, of course, that it would fall through. That's what it was worrying about. You know, that's what the other side of the city were hoping. That's what everyone was kind of a little bit concerned about at the end of the day, weren't they? You've got to admit, there was a little bit of that, wasn't there? There was a little bit of worry there, a little bit of concern, but it looks like the takeover is bang on track and it will go ahead as planned. And look, it's going to represent a major opportunity for the for Rangers and for the 49ers as well. You know, look, for me, it is the best news I've had all year. And it's okay, it's only February, but you know, in years, let's say that better. The fact that we will have one group with a 50% stake, the fact that one group will have overall control, I think will help to avoid the fogginess in decision making, the cloudedness in decision making, the bad decision making. And I think the issue has always been that when you've got so many people contributing to decision-making processes, that you're going to have confusion, you're going to have bad decisions made, you're going to have a clouding of decisions. I mean, look, the situation is that, you know, you've got Dave King with 13 to 15%, you've got Douglas Park with 12 to 13%, whatever it is he's got, you've got John Bennett with 11, you've got X with 10, X with 8, 2, this one with 5, this one with 3. It just is chaotic, isn't it? It's a chaotic ownership model, and I get why it was done post 2012, but for me it's a ridiculous model that just doesn't work. And this is great news that one organisation take a 50% control. I think eventually we'll have 100% control of the club, and we'll move the club forward. And look, the Niners have cash, they have money, the Jed York and the York family have money. There's been already talk of £20 million investment into the playing staff. You know, and I think, look, I want to kind of allay some of the fears that are talked about as regards American owners. Look, people point to FSG and the fact that Liverpool fans are unhappy with FSG. They call FSG tight, cheap. They call John W. Henry cheap and tight. You know, you've got the Arsenal fans saying the same about Stan Kroenke, that he's more interested in his American franchises. Obviously, he owns the LA Rams, he owns the Colorado Avalanche, and he owns the Denver Nuggets. You know, and I think to some degree that is true. You know, Stan Kroenke is very much more into his Rams, his Nuggets, and his Avalanche. And John W. Henry is a very bad owner. I get that. You know, John W. Henry has always had a reputation, you know, even in America, of being tight. Ask Red Sox fans, Boston Red Sox, the baseball team, what they think of John W. Henry. But Jed York doesn't have that reputation in America. Jed York does not have the reputation of a penny pinching, tight-fisted owner. That's not who he is. The York family have never had that reputation. The 49ers have always been a forward-thinking, progressive franchise that want to succeed, that want to win now. You know, you go back across their history, they've won 5 Super Bowls. They've had some of the best players in NFL history. You know, you look at, and I don't know how much you guys know about the NFL, but the quarterback and the wide receiver are 2 of the key positions, and many people regard Joe Montana as the greatest quarterback of all time, ex-San Francisco 49er, Jerry Rice as the greatest wide receiver of all time, ex-San Francisco 49er. So, you know, this is a franchise that has a successful past record and a successful ownership model and a successful financial model and a successful business. It's worth over £9 billion, the 49ers are worth. And, you know, they have people who run that club and run that franchise and run that team, you know, with ultimate success. They have ways of bringing in revenue streams, of using data, of using technology to advance the playing side and the business side of the operation. So it's a massive positive, and it really does bode well for Rangers going into the future. And look, this is hugely good news. This is you know, up there with winning 55. This is up there with any sort of title win. It is tremendous news for Rangers that the 49ers looks like this takeover will be done. And you've already started to see, haven't you, the meltdown on the other side of the city that is starting to occur. You know, the fear in their eyes as they see us being taken over by one of the world's biggest sports franchises, you know, one of the world's biggest organisations with an owner and an organisation behind him that makes Celtic look poor. It really does make them look poor. You know, and you've already heard them. I mean, I've heard some of the most ludicrous comments. You know, the best, I think the best one, the most ludicrous one I've heard was some Celtic fans putting across, isn't it hilarious how Rangers have been taken over by Catholics now, and Jed York is a Catholic and so on and so forth. I've got to say, look, I've been a 49ers fan since '89, and I've never, ever, ever, ever heard Jed York bring up religion or bring religion into anything to do with sport. You know, I'll tell you this, I didn't even know what religion he was because I've never heard him talk about it. He's never expressed anything on religion. He's never talked about religion. He doesn't see it as important. He doesn't see it as being anything to do with sport. You know, so at the end of the day, it's just irrelevant and it's pathetic from the other side of the city. It genuinely is pathetic. And it's their just their little desperation and their ability. You know, they've even allegedly been writing to the 49ers and emailing them and telling them why they can't own Rangers. I mean, it's sad, isn't it? It really is sad and pathetic. But you know what do you expect from the other side of the city? You know, which, like I said, you know, with that lot, your father is your brother, your sister is your mother, etc., etc. Right. So look. Takeover will be done by June. Hopefully a new manager put in place as well by the 49ers. And like I said in the video yesterday morning, and I've said before, you know, I think those of you who are looking at Kjetil Knutsen, who are looking at Kevin Muscat, who are looking at Derek McInnes, I think, you know, bringing the Niners in, I think opens a whole new management market in terms of who they take on as manager. I don't think it's going to be that small sort of pool that we've talked about previously. I think it may be somebody from outside that pool, given the fact that they have more money, more cash, more attractiveness, and the fact that the club will be more attractive now to managers to come to. Now they have owners who have cash, who have ambition, who have a future plan, who have a future vision for success. Right, look, so there we go. That's it. That's all we'll talk about in terms of that. Good news. Let's just take it for that. Let's just take it as brilliant news. Okay, so Barry Ferguson has talked to the media today. Interesting to see, you know, the whole situation with the training and everything that went on there. I've got to admit, you know what, I was at work and I saw the updates on X coming through about the press conference, and it said, oh, the manager will be here to speak to the media shortly, and it came with BF, and I was like, who the fuck is BF? Oh, Barry, yes, of course. You know, I was still expecting to see PC, you know, Philip, I don't know what was wrong with me, why I was expecting to see that, but it kind of threw me a little bit. But, you know, I think, you know, Barry talked very well again. You know, he talked about the club, he talked about the future, he talked about his desires for the club, and look, you know, this is a guy who loves this club. He is a Blue Nose through and through, and, you know, I understand there is a frustration. I get that there's some fans out there that they didn't want Barry Ferguson as manager. You know, they cite the failures in his previous jobs. I think this is completely different. Rangers is a different animal to any club, and managing Rangers is a different animal to any other club, no matter what your past record is in terms of management. And I think you've got to kind of put it to one side. But I think the biggest overriding thing for me, and I've had arguments with people in the comments over my videos. I think some of the arguments are a bit silly at this point of time. Look, this job is for 3 months. It was always going to be for 3 months. The owners, the Niners Enterprises, when they come in, are going to want to appoint their own man. They're not going to want to run with someone that the present board appoint. So this job is for 3 months. That's it. End of story. It is till the end of the season. Okay, now, who realistically, in their right mind, of what I would describe as being a top manager, someone that you'd actually, these people who are criticising this appointment would want to manage the club. Let's first of all look at people who, are utterly ridiculous. You're not going to get Jurgen Klopp as manager. He's on a massive salary at Red Bull. He's not going to come to Rangers. Forget that one. I mean, I've heard people mention that. I just think it's ridiculous. Muscat is not going to come. He's not going to leave his present job for a job that could only be 3 months long, right? Frank Lampard is not going to leave his present job at Coventry City for a job that could only be 3 months long. Derek McInnes is not going to come now for a job that could only be 3 months long. Nobody is going to sign as Rangers manager for 3 months. And then in 3 months' time, they could be bang out of work again. And then what happens? So this job was only ever going to be... So it obviously limits the field. So you're going to have to go to ex-players, to people who've got an investment in the club, to people who have got an emotional investment in the club. Barry Ferguson, Neil McCann, Kevin Thompson, people like that, to try and find someone who would manage the club. They were never going to go out and get anyone of a major status as a manager, because no one in their right mind takes a job for 3 months that knows that pretty much in 3 months' time they're going to get sacked anyway. So look, or their contract's going to be terminated, whatever you want to call it. So let's deal with reality. So what did Barry Ferguson say at his presser yesterday? He said, "It's been hectic, but it's also been enjoyable. I got the call on Sunday, but it didn't take me long to agree. It was also quick to agree. The staff I wanted to come with me too." So it's clear he had a desire to become the manager. He wants to be the manager. He wants to be here. He wants to instill Rangers into these players. This is the biggest ththing for me. Forget the rest of the season. Forget what happens the rest of the season. And look, people say, this is one of the things that I've had levelled at me now. I had one comment to say, "You're accepting mediocre now. You are accepting this club being mediocre." No, I'm not, because I know that this is only for 3 months. I know that at the end of this period, we're going to have a new manager, new owners, new players, new vision, new venture. What happens in these next 3 months effectively does not matter. No one cares. The season's done. It's over. We're effectively playing 11, 12, 13, whatever it is, pre-season friendlies now, between now and the end of the season. The only games that theoretically matter between now and the end of the season are the Fenerbahce games, and then maybe after Roma or Bilbao. Nothing else really matters. The season's done and dusted. I'm not accepting mediocre. I'm just accepting that there is nothing to play for. I'm accepting that there was no top manager going to take this job for 3 months. And if you honestly sit there and believe that someone like a Derek McInnes, a Frank Lampard, a Kjetil Knutsen, a Kevin Muscat was going to take this job now, you're absolutely as deluded as the other side of the city. You genuinely are as ridiculous as the other side of the city. Barry Ferguson went on to say this. He said, "Neil McCann and Billy Dodds both have experience as managers, and of course Alan McGregor played with the club and understands the expectations. They are big characters, and that is also important. It is important that players feel comfortable around them." And look, at the end of the day, all this is realistically about, at the end of the season, is a bit of a cheerleading exercise. That's what it's about. It's about getting the players up for a game, getting them to perform. That's it. And let's face it, this is what these guys do. McCann, Dodds, Shagger, whoever, We've got a lot to get through to get prepared for the players for the coming morning. They understand what we are trying to do against a good Kilmarnock team and an experienced manager. So he's already trying to change things. He said yesterday that he wanted to change the style of play, that he wanted to change the way that Rangers played, that he wanted Rangers to be an aggressive, attack-minded team. And look, haven't we been saying all bloody season that's what we want? We want the team to go out there, be aggressive, attack, fight, battle, get in people's faces and go for teams. And that's what he'll do. It might not work, But does it matter? No, of course it doesn't bloody matter. The season's over. He says, I expect them to give everything they've got and I will do the same. They fully understand my expectations. There will be a number of challenges, but I'm here to try and win as many games as possible, and that needs to start tomorrow at Rugby Park. Clear, absolutely bang clear. We've got 11 weeks and a number of games still left to play. We need to make sure we go out there and try to win every game. The players know the demands I have put on them. It will be difficult, but this needs to be different Rangers team that turns up tomorrow. That for me is a clear statement. It needs to be a different Rangers team that turns up. So not the boring, passive, non-aggressive, crappy little turgid, boring Clermont football. It needs to be a team that goes out there knowing there is an expectation on it, and it performs to that level, and it does not give up. One of the big quotes for me that came out of the presser today that I really liked was this one. He says, this club is built on winning trophies and we haven't won enough over recent years. Our focus is to start winning games regularly. I want everyone to be coming in here with a smile, but when we train, it will be serious and it will be demanding. But that first statement, this club, and this is what I want you all to realise, and there's a lot of Rangers fans that don't, I think, realise this. There's a lot who, over the last 12 years and 13 years, have put up with mediocre, have put up with average. And Barry Ferguson gets it. He gets it. Listen, and look, I know he's not going to be the manager for the long term, but it's what he's getting across to the players at this time that will affect them going forward. And he says, this club is built on winning trophies. We haven't won enough over recent years. The truth, the fact, absolute. Nothing to disagree with there at all. Look, it was a lot. I mean, there was a lot came out of it, and it was a lot of what I would call cheerleading. A lot of kind of hoorah, 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 come on, kind of talk from Barry Ferguson, which is always going to be, wasn't it? That's his main aim between now and the end of the season, isn't it? To get the players up, to give them that bounce, to get them through the end of the season, and then at the end of the season we build for the future with a new manager, some new players in, a new owner, and things move forward. It's not going to be, and I think some fans have lost complete perspective on this. It was never going to be a new manager coming in with a vision to take this club forward. And if you expected us to sack Clermont and go and get a Muscat, a McInnes, a Kjetil Knutsen, a Lampard, a Steve Cooper, someone like that, seriously, you're deluded. You lost it. It was never going to happen because the present board know they can't appoint a permanent manager because they know there's going to be new owners in 4 months' time who are not going to necessarily going to go with the person you've picked. And they're going to sit there and go, well, that's not who I wanted. I didn't want Darren McInnes. I didn't want Kjetil Knutsen. I didn't want Kevin Muscat. I wanted this person. I wanted that person. And I'm going to sack that one. And the problem would be that McInnes or Knutsen or whoever would know that that would be what's going to happen. So let's deal with what we've got now. And look, yes, it may not be the most perfect appointment, and it probably isn't. And yes, his past record ain't great, but it's what we've got now until the end of the season. We just get behind the players, we get behind the team, we just get behind them until the end of the year, and we hope that we get good things from it. And, there's literally 0 point sitting here or sitting tomorrow night or in a week's time or 2 weeks' time and slagging Barry Ferguson off and saying, get rid of him, he's shit, to get rid of him. Because he's going to go anyway. He's here temporarily. It's an interim. That's what an interim does. It doesn't matter. Get a perspective on it, guys. Let's get some perspective on it. Right, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your predictions for tonight. I'm going to go for 3-0 Rangers tonight. Away victory, 3-0. Look, the team, I ain't got a clue. I genuinely, for the first time, I know Clermont was difficult to pick in terms of a team. Get that. But tonight, I don't know about the formation. I don't know about the team. It could be a 4-4-2. It could be a 3-5-2. It could be a 4-3-3. It could be anything. 3-4-3. It could be anything. I don't know what it's going to be. It's a surprise. It'll be great. I hope Danilo starts. I hope Hamza starts. I hope Shearney starts. I hope Hadji starts. I hope Raskin starts. And I hope Raskin's captain. I really hope that Ferguson goes in there, rips the armband off that serial loser and says, give me that. You do not deserve to wear that armband. There you go, Nico, you're wearing it. Because I'll tell you something, as an ex-Rangers captain, he must look at James Tavernier and go, seriously, no, just no. Guys, let me know your thoughts, comments in the comments below. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. Please obviously like, subscribe, comment and share. As always, guys, we are the people.